Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Hi.
Sam Healy, what's up, folks?
Today we're taking a look at a very big game in many different ways. This game is going to be released at Gen Con this year, and that is the Rise of Queensdale. The reason this is a big game is because it's a legacy game. It's designed by the Brandts, Inka Markus Brand. They did the Exit games. They did Village. They do all sorts of different games.
Yes, they have quite the breadth of styles of designs.
Now, because this is a legacy game, so we're going to do multiple videos on it. This is a kind of a first impressions. I think we can review it to some degree. We've played it 6 times so far, and we were talking today, we think maybe we'll get 18 games out of it, or 20, something like that.
Seems to be the trend. We're trending towards about 18.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to spoil anything in this video, but at the same time, this isn't a game. I mean, I guess there's spoilers in it, but it's not. Well, we'll get to that, I guess, in the end thing, about our feelings and everything. But I'm about to show you how it's played, but I'm showing you from the very state of the game coming out of the box, all right? There's no spoilers in here, and if you don't want to know anything about the game, then you probably should be watching this anyway. So here's how the game plays. Now, a couple of things here that you need to know. First of all, this is a full version of the game, but it's a German version of the game, and there is some English pastings up and things. Secondly, what I'm showing you now here is not a spoiler. This is the exact setup for the very first game that you're going to play. And so I'm not spoiling anything. There's nothing coming up ahead. And so each player is going to be given a character. You get like your own little shield here. You can play male or female. They're pretty much exactly the same. You have a certain number of victory points that you're going to be trying to get to win a game. And this is how you get victory points. If I build a building, if I build an herb hut, if my morale crosses a trumpet line. And so these are different ways to get victory points. It also shows different ways to build things. It shows that on here. And there's a couple other things. I'm not even sure everything on here, exactly what it's for. You're also going to get kind of a storyline, which gives you a symbol, which can affect the game. And each player is going to start with some dice. Now, these dice have different sides on them, and this is kind of the whole point of a game. What you're going to do on your turn is you're going to be rolling these dice and then taking turns placing these dice on the board. You might place them on a spot here to get a resource if it matches that resource. Some spots give you an extra one, so that might give me 2. The actions I can place on this whole action board over here, which lets me do all sorts of things like build buildings or increase my morale. There is a morale track. This here lets me do a few things. I'm not actually even sure everything that it's going to do because there's spots for more rules to come out. But as your morale goes up, some of your buildings will produce and you can get points that way. So this is one way to get points, by moving up your morale. And this is also where your points are in total. Everyone needs to get 10 points after the first game. If you get to 10, you'll win the game. And then it's possible that your point total is going to change in future games. So you're going to have to go higher and farther. The first person to get to 70 points, when that is their goal, is going to win the entire campaign. On the action board, you're going to have places to go, which lets you get bread, turn bread in for morale, get coins, build new buildings. You can always pay a resource to re-roll dice, and different things like that, including things that are coming up, which we don't know about. And also move your guy on the board. Moving your guy on the board is important. At the beginning of the game, each person is going to pick an herb hut, and you have a chance to build more of them. And whatever herb you're on, if you cross that herb while you're moving, you'll be able to flip it over and get something. In this case, it's a point. Sometimes it's resources. So the more herb huts you have, the more resources and things you're going to be able to find. You also have these buildings out here, building sites, and you're going to be able to put buildings on them when you build them. At the beginning of the game, there are various buildings that are available to be built. More might show up later, and the game comes with this little suction cup, the little plunger, that allows you to pull tiles off the board and put them on. This doesn't matter where I'm pulling it from here, but these buildings are going to have a certain cost at the top, and depending on if someone else has built one, they'll say this one here is built, then this one is going to also cost a coin. These buildings provide resources every time your morale crosses a certain line, and these buildings are going to allow you to keep goods from game to game, allowing you to go into the next game being more prepared. Other than that, there's cards here. And I don't really want to show you all the different cards. Some of the card decks are random, some are not. Some will get pulled based on events that happen in a game. Some get pulled based on how a specific game ends. There's also a bag full of people that you can pull from that has a few people in it at the beginning of the game. This one lets you pull a card. Some of them let you build things for cheaper prices. Some help move you up on the morale track. And I'm assuming there's going to be more coming through as time goes by. So that's kind of just a general idea of how the game works. At the beginning of the game, you're going to want to run these guys around to find victory points. You're going to want to build on your building sites, buildings that are going to help you now in this game and help you in the future. You're going to want to move up on the morale track. And you're going to want to, and build more herb huts to make your guy better. That's your starting goals. More things are going to happen. The game comes with lots of stickers and lots of tokens and things that I'm not showing you that are added in later on. From game to game, you're going to even be able to buy stickers to replace sides of your dice and make your dice different as you roll them. So that's kind of an overview. Let's keep going.
All right, so 6 games in. We're playing a 4-player game of this. With Derek, and so far, as of us right now, it is a pretty much dead heat.
Yes, everybody's very close. We've had moments of someone falling behind by a couple of games and then catching up again.
Who might that have been?
What's that?
Who might that have been?
That was largely me, but Derek's been doing it now.
Yeah, but now I feel like I'm falling behind.
We're all even. We're all even as far as points are concerned, I guess you could say. But I think other people's engines are starting to crank up. And
there's been highs and lows, and that's been good.
Now I do think that if you play this as a 2-player game, you're going to go through faster just by sheer numbers. Every other game, you're going to move to the next level. You just have to. While in a 4-player game, you literally could have 4 games on the same level. Now, usually that probably won't happen. Usually a couple people will make it up at a time. I'm finding that a little slow in my case. This is a slight bit that 3 people get to one level and then we're waiting for the other person to catch up and that person wins and that's fine, but there's no new content. And I am feeling currently that the legacy part of this game, the new content, is my hook. What if this game wasn't legacy at this point? Where would you rank it?
It doesn't feel like there's too much legacy-esque aspects to it, so I don't think it would get dinged that much if you said it was not a legacy game.
All right, but let's say there's no legacy, no more things coming. We're going to play the game as is at Game 6, and we're going to come out and play it. How often would you want to play that?
It's a good game. I don't know how often I want to play it, but I like it just as much as any other Euro game in its ilk that I've played lately. I think it's a good game. I enjoy that the turns are quick. I enjoy the actions provided to you. I like the different paths to victory. I like the world building. I'm using that sort of loosely, but I like the setting as much as I like this kind of setting. How about that? I don't think it's exciting, like, ooh, the king is talking to me. But for what it is, it's well done. So yeah, it feels honestly like the first game that is not a legacy game, but uses legacy. Kind of like when we had deck building games first crop up, and then every game was a deck building game, right? And by that I mean, that's it. It's a deck building game. There's cards, they do stuff, you lay some out, you buy them, you win, that's it. And then eventually we got to games where they had deck building elements, where it's like, okay, you're actually playing on this board, trying to conquer territory or whatever, also deck building. This feels like the first one to me that is also legacy. That's not bad. We're going to get there eventually, and this one, I think, is the first push a little bit towards that. There's not a big discovery, grand adventure every turn. You don't flip over a card and go, what? Twist? And that's fine for what this one is trying to be, I think.
What do you think?
I disagree. I think the reason that the legacy aspect, the legacy aspect taking a very distant back seat right now for me is what's making the game kind of trudge along right now. It's just not very exciting. You're doing the same thing every single turn and it's worker placement. You're taking your dice and you're putting it out there, which I usually enjoy. But the return on putting my dude out there is not usually very exciting. It's like, place my die here, oh, I get a resource. Or place my thing out here and I get a thing, you know.
Well, that will go up, I guess, as we customize the dice more.
Right? Maybe, but we have all these cards that are on the side of the board, and I feel like we've not used them at all. And I'm like, well, when is that going to start happening? I mean, we've used them once or twice, you know, some of the, you know, the crystal ball card. Well, maybe I shouldn't.
No, that's in there. Like
crystal ball cards. You know, you've read one, and I think Derek has read one.
No, he's read like 2 or 3.
No, he's read 2. Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still over the course of 6 games, that's only 3 cards being used. That's really slow.
It is.
And for me. And so the back seat that the legacy aspect is taking is really kind of very close to killing the game for me.
I'm hoping that it ramps up. Now, you said you didn't care about the world. I guess I want to preface a lot of this. I like the game because it's going to sound for a bit like I don't like it. I like it. But I find this setting so mundane. Oh my. It is like the queen calls you to the courtyard. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but I don't feel like if someone said, don't spoil the big event, I don't feel like there's anything to spoil.
There hasn't been a big
Is that
event.
a spoiler? You know what I mean? I feel like this, and the story's not bad. It's well written. But if this game was a book, I would not read it. Unlike Pandemic Legacy, when we went through that was exciting.
Right.
I think even the Charterstone story, which we kind of made fun of a little bit, was more interesting than this one.
I don't know about that.
It was a little bit more cartoony, but I think it was along the same vein.
Yeah.
I actually think this game feels very much like that game, like Charterstone. They both have, yes, for lack of a better term, mundane stories in historically influenced settings. They both have very quick turns. They both are about grabbing a bunch of resources. So yes, if you are bothered by, like you're saying, sort of like, do a thing, grab 1 cube. Do another thing, grab 2 cubes this time. Woo! Then yes, you're not going to like that. I'm okay with that, okay, because the turns are so quick for me. They feel very much along the same lines. So I think if you like one, you probably like the other one. Maybe this one is a little slower paced.
It definitely feels slower paced because, for example,
definitely.
in our next game, because when you get to a level and then you get to see new stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I got to the level, and then I think you and me, and then Sam got to the level, then Z got to the level, then Derek got to the level. So our next game is going to be the same as game 6. And I'll be like, come on, let's get through this game so we can see what the new stuff is.
I think that's the folly, though, at the end of the day, and that's maybe what people need to hear is, if you're playing this game because you want to see the new thing, go play Pandemic Legacy or something, where you know you're getting something crazy every new session. This is a different animal, you know? It's a slow burn.
That's the danger with calling this a legacy game, though.
Well,
because
I agree.
There's definitely
with you.
stickers involved. I mean, you're definitely...
That's what people have been kind of accustomed to expect from a legacy game, is that they're going to get something new after every game.
No, I hear that, but this is it just doesn't focus on the same aspects, much like Charterstone, which was a little bit of a system shock when I played it anyway, because I'm going, where's the twist? Where's the crazy story? What's happening? Oh, next round is like, next game, keep building the town. Okay. This one, if I had played this first, I would feel the same way. Guaranteed. But I already know that there are other things people are doing with legacy games. Yes, they're not focusing on the story. If you're here for the story, folks, so far anyway, you're not going to really be too excited about it, I think. If you're here for the mechanisms, if you like the quick turns, I'm enjoying that part of it, you know? The
Well, let me
resource
jump into that
management, all that
because
stuff, yeah.
I do want to say, again, there are a lot of things I like. I like how fast the turns are. I like that there's very clearly different ways to victory.
Mm-hmm.
Like my strategy that I've been playing, and I've been playing with the same strategy pretty much the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
is very different than Derek's, which is very different than Sam's. We have us
And I don't
three-
have
I don't know
one,
what yours
so
is.
I don't
Yes,
see
you
that.
do.
Well, yours is, but yeah, you're mutating yours actually, your strategy.
Because I want there to be mutants in the game.
No, but my strategy was pretty strong a few games ago.
Yes.
Not quite as powerful now, but that's okay because I feel like the game will add a new element. It really adds stuff at the ease of, like, we don't sit there and go, ooh, I got to rethink this whole game. Like, oh, that's the new minor thing? All right, we're in.
Yes.
Yeah, the downside with that though is that in a regular non-legacy game, if you tackle that game with a certain strategy or a certain game plan, so to speak, and it doesn't work out well for you, by the end of the game, you've only spent a couple of hours at most. And now on the next game, you can try something else. I think it's harder to do that in this. If you get kind of put into through one course or another a specific strategy, and now you're 5 or 6 games into that strategy and it's been working well, but now you're seeing how it's starting to falter, I don't know how easy it's going to be to switch strategies.
Well, we're about to find out.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm afraid that it's not going to be very easy to switch strategies at all.
Well, we'll see if I start
maybe.
losing.
That could be. I could see that. It's maybe a little harder to pivot from one thing to another. Yeah.
But on the positive side, I do like that the game gives you gives you options. Essentially, things I do in this game definitely affect next game. All right.
True.
Not spoilers, but if you build buildings, they will last till future games, which
Right.
is nice because we played other legacy games where there was a really hard reset. And this game has a reset. And I mean, you don't get to keep everything, obviously, from one to the next.
No, but you know what you can keep, and you can. If
Right, you see it coming too.
If you
Yes.
know that that the game is about to end, you can just start stockpiling those things that you can keep and prepare for the next game.
Yeah, so this next game, Game 7, Game 6, I really didn't do very well. But I saw that coming a mile away, so I'm going into Game 7 pretty well. I got the max amount of stuff I can keep from one to the next. I feel like, I might not win still, but I feel good going into the
You're going to
next game.
start with a leg up. Yeah, and that's good. That feels good. I have to say, if there's one thing I'm really not liking about it, and this might be a perception thing, is this idea of winning moves you up to the next, echelon, but you also make points faster. It seems like an artificial.
Well, I know, but I was showing you, not everything is, so there's more math
That's true,
behind it
but
than
still,
that.
just from a gut reaction sort of feeling, if I'm down here, I'm making up arbitrary numbers here. If I need 12 victory points to win and you need 20, that seems like I'm going to crush you, but I make points at a slower rate than you. If I do a thing that gets me a point, for that, you might get 2 or 3. Okay, that just feels, I'm sure it's balanced. I'm sure some things escalate at a faster rate than others, like you're saying. It feels like fake progression. It feels like those video games where as soon as I get an awesome sword, everybody else, the baddies, are suddenly wearing awesome armor.
I understand that. I'm just saying that some of the things, there's 3 main ways to get points. Some of those change, or even minor things like if you're going out and you find a victory point, that's not
That's worse for
nearly
you
as
than for
good.
me in that scenario,
Right.
yes.
Also, he kept complaining about this, and then in the last 2 or 3 games, he's been whooping up all over us. So I don't want to hear none of this nonsense.
I'm making points faster now, so it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, but you were doing it even when you were
Yeah,
behind.
but here's the thing.
No, I know. I'm not.
What you were talking about though is the fact that some people get more points for other things, and if that were actually a problem, then the people who are getting more points for those actions should always win.
And it hasn't happened.
No,
that
I'm
way.
not saying that. I'm saying it's the same thing. I'm saying it's the same thing as me ranking a game on a scale of 1 to 10 and giving it 9 points, and you ranking it on a scale of 1 to 100 and giving it 90. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
but it's really closer to me giving it 92.
Sure, okay.
That's
it
what I'm
just
s-
feels a little artificial when it's like, oh, we're going to move the goal away. Oh, it's harder for you. Also, you make more points.
But
now.
again, like I say, it just makes certain things, like at the beginning of the game, running around and trying to just find victory points was very viable
Yeah, that's
strategy.
true. That's
that
true.
strategy is no longer as when you need to get 30 victory points. That's
true.
not nearly
It's
as big of a deal.
No, you are right. It just, again, I'm not like bashing it for that. I'm just saying it feels a little too subtle maybe for you to go, aha, this is what I do now.
There are a couple things I really love about the game. I really love the custom dice, that we can customize them any way we want.
Yes.
And I like the fact that there was a couple stickers that said, put it on a die, and then find out what it does.
Yes.
That's neat.
I like that.
I also really liked the fact that if nothing new happens in the game, something will happen anyway. It might not be amazing, but at least we're going into Game 7, and I said it's going to be just like Game 6. It's not quite true. There's going to be something different. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but there's going to be something different, and that's good.
Right, and it's not going to turn the game on its head, but it does give you a slightly different experience. I'm okay with the amount of... I mean, yes, it's a slow burn legacy game, but I'm almost looking at it more like a cool Euro game. And the Euro game I'm enjoying, rather than sometimes when you're playing a legacy game, you get caught up in that frenzy of, okay, we're playing a game, but what's next? It's like, well, how about playing the game? Just,
Yeah, this is definitely
just go
a stronger
read a
game
book
than it is a
then. I
legacy
mean, if you
thing.
just want to hear a twist, go read a book of short stories. You're going to get one on basically every other page. Just do that.
What would you rate this right now, having played 6 games?
Like an 8.
What about you?
I'm enjoying it a lot.
I like this slightly better than Charterstone. I can't remember what I rated Charterstone, but I don't know. I don't know. I might not even say that. I guess I'm around a 6 right now.
All right, so I'm in the middle. I'm going to say a 7, and that may go up or down. Definitely, I enjoyed Game 6 not as much as I enjoyed Game 3.
Definitely not.
But that may change in the next couple games too. I want to see what the new stuff
right.
adds,
You're going to have good games and bad games.
But I haven't disliked any of my experiences so far, and I do like, again, how fast it is. And our games have been taking about an average of an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, which is a good length.
Yeah, it really
Again, the
is.
main hits for me, and I know Sam agrees with one of them for sure, is that yes, the artificial ramping up seems weird to me, even if I'm wrong, it feels that way, and that the dice can be lucky. Yes, you could have a really bad
Really lucky.
go
Or you
at
put
it.
a really cool
Or really
sticker
unlucky.
on your die,
And
then
never
you
roll.
you actually have he has a really cool sticker on his die that has not shown up for 2 games now.
At least 2 games, yeah.
And you
that's-
have one on your die that has shown up every single turn almost.
Actually, but the last game it didn't show up once.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm okay with that. There are options. There's a lot of stuff going on in the game. You can use the dice. I mean, I've only ever seen someone have to pass and play a dead die twice over 6.5, 7 hours.
Sure, the fact that you can spend a resource to re-roll, that's a... Man, if that rule wasn't in the game, I think I would actually dislike the game.
You need that rule, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Alrighty, well that's it. We're going to be playing it some more. Don't expect a review tomorrow or anything. It's going to be a while before we finish this. But again, because we're playing with 4 players, it's going to take a longer time. But maybe we'll come back after another 6 games and see our update there, and then we'll do one at the finish of the campaign and see
Cool.
where that's at.
Cool.
That's Rise of Queensdale. Definitely one I would recommend you check out for sure, especially if you like the medium weight Euro games. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia, thank you.
Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.